Hello and welcome. This is Business News Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. Coming up, Nigeria's oil production increases by 2.55 million barrels. APM Terminal's investment in Apapa hits 180 billion naira. CBN disburses 92.4% of 400 billion naira targeted credit facility. Pension fund operators register 72,846 contributors in 3 years. Glad to have you join us, and here are business stories we're tracking at this hour. I am Perpetua Fasomi-Peter. Now the news in detail. Crude oil production in Nigeria increased by about 2.55 million barrels in the month of November 2021, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries announced on Tuesday. According to OPEC, the country's crude oil production rose by 85,000 barrels to 1,420,000 barrels daily in November when compared to 1,335,000 barrels that was produced daily in the preceding month of October. Figures obtained indicated that from the December 2021 monthly oil market report of the 13-member nation organization, it showed that Nigeria's crude oil production in November was higher than what the country recorded in September and October. Records from OPEC showed that Nigeria produced 1,365,000 and 1,335,000 barrels of crude daily in the months of September and October, respectively. The report, however, stated that crude oil spot prices declined in November amid concerns regarding the emergence of the new Omicron COVID-19 variant and easing of the energy crunch, which had resulted in higher oil demand from the gas to oil switching. The crude oil value in the OPEC reference basket dropped by $1.74 or 2.1% in November to an average of $80.37 per barrel, amid lower prices of almost all medium and heavy salt grades in Asia, Europe and the Americas. OPEC kept its oil forecast for 2022 unchanged at 4 million barrels per day, adding that indeed some of the recovery previously expected in the fourth quarter of 2021 was now shifted to the first quarter of 2022, followed by a more steady recovery throughout the second quarter of next year. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, Malam Mele Kyari, has inaugurated the 120-ton Deb Energy Liquefied Petroleum Gas LPG plant in Abuja, pledging to ensure constant supply of gas to the facility. Kyari stressed that the plant located in Gaduwa district aligned with the aspiration of the federal government to ensure that clean and cheaper fuel is made available in the country. The NNPC boss noted that the company decided to key into the decade of gas declared by the federal government, which aims to explore the enormous gas resources in the country so that there will be extensive domestic gas use and export. According to the NNPC GMD, the move will not only bring prosperity to the country, ensure security of energy, but bring cleaner fuels nearer to consumers. Quote, "You can always count on us at the NNPC to support the initiative in terms of supply and also sharing every necessary data and information at our disposal to help grow this business for the benefit of the Nigerian people," end of quote. While conveying the delight of President Muhammadu Buhari at the completion of the project, Kyari stated that it would eventually reduce the cost of energy for the Nigerian people since LPG is cheaper than any other type of fuel, stressing that it was one of the many steps to make sure gas is made available to Nigerians. The federal government on Tuesday said Nigeria lost an estimated $235 billion worth of investment in the oil and gas sector for delaying the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill (PIB) by about 2 decades. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Presilva, said findings also showed that the country lost about $15 billion annually during the period of the prolonged delay. The PIB became an act, that's the Petroleum Industry Act, on August 16, 2021, after the President, Muhammadu Buhari, gave assent to the bill, making it a law for the oil sector. In his virtual address at the Nigerian Gas Association 2021 Business Forum and Annual General Meeting, Silva, who was represented by his technical advisor on gas, business and policy implementation, Justice Derefaka, said the delay stifled Nigeria's petroleum industry. The minister said, quote, a report by Financial Derivatives Company Limited indicated that Nigeria's oil and gas industry lost as much as $15 billion in investments annually due to the delayed passage of the PIB. He, however, noted the new act had marked the end of decades of inaction, ambiguity, indecision, and underinvestment in Nigeria's petroleum industry. Nigeria's largest container terminal, APM Terminals Apapa, has said that it invested $438 million, that's about 180 billion naira, in the upgrade of its facility, acquisition of modern cargo handling equipment, and support of seamless service since it won concession of the terminal in 2006. The investment is the highest by any port terminal operator in Nigeria. The terminal manager of APM Terminals Apapa, Steen Knudsen, said the terminal is on an exciting journey of major transformation to deliver greater sustainable benefits to the Nigerian economy and society. Aside the investment in equipment and facility upgrade, he said APM Terminals Apapa is also investing substantially into continuous development of its workforce. In his words, since inception, we have invested around $438 million purely into the handling equipment we have in the terminal. We have acquired mobile harbor cranes, rubber-tired gantry cranes, reach stackers, forklift, terminal trucks, empty handlers, and invested into yard improvements. At the moment, we are also focusing on investing into our facilities, renovating our buildings, upgrading in-gate and out-gate facilities, terminal fencing and lighting. We have equipped the parking area access with a facial recognition system and expanded our terminal fleet with new shuttle buses and pickup trucks. We remain committed to deepening our investment in Apapa to enable us handle increasing volumes at the port. Our investments will create capacity to handle growth in the economy to support the federal government's efforts on trade growth and improve service delivery across the logistics chain, end of quote. 3 years into the launch of the micro pension plan, NPP pension fund operators said they have registered just 72,846 contributors, revealing that they have resorted to the introduction of value addition incentives to encourage more participation into the micro pension plan. The micro pension plan was officially launched by the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration on March 29, 2019. Since its launch, contrary to the desires and aspirations of the pension sector regulator, the National Pension Commission (PENCOM), the micro-pension plan has witnessed slow growth. This is in contrast to the speedy growth witnessed by the Contributory Pension Scheme (CPS), which had, within 17 years of its regime, registered over 10 million contributors and built up 13 trillion naira assets. Speaking at the annual media parley organized by the umbrella body of pension fund administrators, the Pension Operators Association of Nigeria (PENOP), the head micro-pension department (PENCOM), Mr. Dauda Ahmed, said current number of contributors into the micro-pension scheme, which was approximately 73,000 contributors, falls short of the Commission's expectation. According to him, the Commission had expected more than what is recorded, adding that the Commission had engaged some stakeholders to ensure that the NPP had an enabling environment to thrive. He described the micro-pension plan as a long-term voluntary financial plan for the provision of pension coverage to the self-employed and persons working under organizations with less than 3 employees who are mainly in the informal sector. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said the bank has disbursed 370 billion naira out of the 400 billion naira provided under its targeted credit facility. Emefiele said this on Tuesday during the 2021 Annual Bankers Committee retreat in Lagos with the theme, Building Resilience for Economic Growth. He said to contain the downturn and drive the recovery of Nigeria's economy, the monetary and fiscal authorities deployed a series of policy measures that had aided the rebound in Nigeria's growth beginning in the fourth quarter of 2020. Other CBN policy measures that we took to help the economic recovery include creation of a 400 billion targeted credit facility for households and small and medium enterprises, he said. Of this, nearly 370 billion naira has been released to over 800,000 beneficiaries. Still speaking, he said 53 manufacturing, 21 agriculture-related, and 13 service projects are being funded from the 1 trillion facility introduced for local manufacturing and production in critical sectors. He noted that owing to the policy actions, the country exit recession in the fourth quarter of 2020 with a growth rate of 0.11%, which improved to 0.51% in the first quarter of 2021. The Debt Management Office (DMO) on Tuesday disclosed that Nigeria's public debt was 38.005 trillion naira as of the end of the third quarter of 2021. In a press statement titled "DMO Publishes Total Public Debt for Third Quarter 2021" and published on the DMO's website, the debt agency said the total debt figure comprised total external and domestic debts of the federal government, the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The statement read in part, quote, "In line with its practice, the Debt Management Office has published Nigeria's total public debt as at September 30, 2021. The data, which includes the total external and domestic debts of the federal government of Nigeria, 36 state governments and the Federal Capital Territory, shows that Nigeria's public debt was 38.005 trillion naira or $92.626 billion at the end of the third quarter of 2021. The total debt stock rose by 2.50 trillion naira in 3 months from June 30 to September 30, 2021. The statement further said the increase of 2.540 trillion naira when compared to the corresponding figure of 35.465 trillion naira at the end of the second quarter 2021 was largely accounted for by the $4 billion Eurobonds issued by the government in September 2021. It added, the issuance of the $4 billion Eurobonds has brought significant benefit to the economy by increasing the level of Nigeria's external reserves, thereby supporting the naira exchange rate and providing necessary capital to enable the federal government finance various projects in the budget. The Managing Director and Chief Executive NERSA Microfinance Bank, Mr. Abubakar Abdullahi Crude, yesterday said over 881,081 Nigerians and businesses had secured loans valued at over 503 billion naira from NERSA Microfinance Bank. The bulk of the loans, he said, were from the COVID-19 Intervention Fund released by the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to cushion the effects of the pandemic on households and small businesses. Crude specifically said some of the beneficiaries included individuals and families whose breadwinners lost their jobs in 2020 as a result of COVID-19. According to him, the number consisted of 612,321 households that received loans ranging from 250,000 naira to 1 million naira valued at 240.08 billion naira. He added that small and medium enterprises received loans valued at 104.02 billion naira between 2020 and December 2021. Providing further breakdown, Crude said households that are non-interest beneficiaries (NIBs) of the NERSA Microfinance Bank loans numbering 21,027 had so far secured facilities amounting to 9.09 billion naira, while SMEs under the non-interest scheme numbering 2,710 also accessed 1.05 billion naira, as well as 31,067 agri small medium enterprises scheme AGS MEIS beneficiaries who accessed 116 billion naira from the bank within a year. The Federal Ministry of Aviation on Tuesday confirmed that the United Arab Emirates had increased the flight slots allotted to Air Peace, Nigeria's largest commercial airline, to operate into UAE. But Air Peace insisted on Tuesday that it was still awaiting the official receipt of a reported letter from the United Arab Emirates on the concession of 7 flight slots to the carrier by the UAE government. The carrier said although media reports had earlier stated that the UAE wrote to the airline on the development, there was no official notice to that effect as of Tuesday. The Director of Public Affairs FMA, James Odaudu, told newsmen that it was true that the UAE had allotted increased flight slots to Air Peace. In his words, "I can confirm that the story is true and that the UAE has increased the flight slots of Air Peace to the United Arab Emirates." However, the airline maintained that it had yet to receive any official letter to that effect, despite the letter being circulated online, which was reportedly written to the carrier by UAE authorities. He added, "So I can't confirm that at the moment, but if need be, I'll definitely confirm it. I'm not aware such a letter got to us, although I've seen it flying around electronically. I do not know if it's leaked or if it was deliberate, but I just can't speak on that at the moment in terms of confirmation. However, once we have an update on our Dubai operations, we'll let the public know via our regular communication channels." End of quote. The semi-diplomatic row between Nigeria and UAE had persisted since the outbreak of COVID-19, and it increased after the Omicron variant emerged. Still ahead, dollar stands firm as investors eye major Fed policy meeting. Details and more business updates after this commercial break.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners.
Welcome back. South Africa has rejected state power provider Eskom's request to remain exempt from pollution standards on some coal-fired power stations, with the utility saying on Tuesday that it would force it to immediately shut down 16,000 megawatts of capacity. That equals about a third of the generating capacity of Africa's most industrialized country. South Africa relies on Eskom for more than 90% of its electricity, which derives chiefly from 15 aging coal-fired power stations, for which it has enjoyed waivers on emissions limits for soot, nitrogen oxides and sulfur dioxide. The heavily indebted provider says it cannot afford the technology required to meet them. Pollution in the coal belt is among the worst in the world, rivaling Beijing and Mumbai, and researchers estimate the smog there kills thousands of people a year, with one putting the cost at $2.37 billion a year. Moving on to the foreign news, Asian markets were precariously poised on Wednesday as the world waited to hear from the U.S. Federal Reserve on when it would stop buying assets and start raising interest rates, possibly piling pressure on its peers to follow. Futures have already priced in an end to tapering by March and the first hike to 0.25% in May or June, with rates approaching 0.75% by year-end. Also vital will be the ultimate destination for rates, given markets are currently priced for a peak of just 1.5 to 1.75%, a level that would likely not even top inflation. The rapid spread of the Omicron variant is an added complication that could incline the Fed to be less hawkish, though recently officials have sounded more concerned about the persistence of inflation than the pandemic. Japan's Nikkei 225 naira edged up 0.1% and South Korea KS11 lost 0.3%. Data on Chinese retail sales and industrial production are also due later Wednesday, followed by U.S. retail sales. Nasdaq futures and S&P 500 futures were all but flat in early trade, having lost ground overnight. The single currency eases back to $1.1256 and was again approaching its recent trough of $1.1184. The dollar firmed to 137.71 yen, near resistance at 113.95. Oil prices eased after the International Energy Agency (IEA) said the spread of Omicron coronavirus variant would dent the recovery in global fuel demand. U.S. crude lost 34 cents in early action to stand at $70.39 per barrel. The dollar held its recent gains in Asian trading on Wednesday as investors looked towards a key Federal Reserve policy meeting to see if it would reinforce grain market expectations for earlier and additional rate rises next year. The dollar index, which measures the greenback against 6 major pairs, was at 96.557, having gained 0.5% so far this week in choppy trading. It is testing last week's 96.954, which would be a 2-week top. The dollar's gains have been broad-based, though daily moves were muted ahead of the Fed decision. The euro last traded at $1.1264, not far from $1.1184 hit in November, which was its lowest in over a year. The pound languished at $1.12350 a Britain grapples with rising cases of the Omicron variant of the new coronavirus. But the Federal Reserve meeting, due to wrap up later in the day, stood out as the centerpiece of a week full of central bank meetings. The Australian dollar was at 0.7107, little moved by activity data from China, Australia's largest trading partner. The data showed factory output grew faster than expected, but retail sales slowed. The Canadian dollar was weaker at 1.2843 per dollar, having been bruised by oil prices coming off recent peaks. It's now time for entertainment with Agogo.
Welcome to Entertainment Business. My name is Agogo Ayanago. BBC Studios has taken full control of UK television outfit House Productions, acquiring the final 25% of the company, run by Tessa Ross and Juliet Howell. House Productions is a producer of limited series Brexit, The Uncivil War, and upcoming BBC miniseries Sherwood. The deal, which BBC Studios unveiled on Tuesday, follows similar takeover moves by the BBC's commercial arm of Clerkenwell Films and Gentleman Jack producer Lookout Point. BBC Studios also holds a majority stake in Steve Coogan's shingle Baby Cow. Other shows on House Productions' upcoming slate include Netflix' The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle and Stephen Blanchard's The Good Mothers, a co-production with Italian company Wildside, being produced for Disney Plus Star. On the feature side, House is co-producing the Netflix film The Wonder from Oscar winner Sebastian Leleu, together with Ireland's Ethernet Picture. BBC Studios Chief Creative Officer Mark Lindsay, who also oversees producer partnerships, said Ross and Howe's company exemplifies bold British creativity. Moving on, Netflix has slashed its subscription prices significantly in India, a vital market for growth among the major US streaming services. The price changes revealed on Tuesday goes into effect immediately. The cheapest Netflix plan, the mobile-only option, which allows lower resolution consumption on tablets and smartphones, now costs just $1.96, 149 rupees in India. That's down 25% from the former price of 199 rupees or $2.62. But analysts believe the price cuts to Netflix's basic subscription offering, the entry-level full-service option, will be the most consequential for Netflix's potential growth in the country. The basic plan has dropped 60% from $6.57, which is 499 rupees, to $2.62, 199 rupees. Netflix standard and premium plans, which offer users higher video quality, have also dropped to $6.57 and $8.55 from $8.55 and $10.59 respectively. The sudden price reduction at Netflix is a clear choice to boost subs and overall reach at the expense of revenue per users. That's all we have for you on Entertainment Business today. My name is Agogo Ayanago.
Thank you, Agogo. Moving now to sports.
Spanish La Liga has inked a 5-year agreement split by DAZN and Telefónica's Movistar. The deal, worth $5.58 billion, starts in the 2022-2023 season and ends Movistar's run as the league's main domestic broadcaster. Both broadcasters will air 5 La Liga matches per fixture round, with the exception of 3 full match days per season, which the Telefonica-owned broadcaster will air exclusively. Telefonica's current 3-year deal with the league is worth roughly $3.32 billion. Despite the number of paid TV subscriptions falling by 4 million since 2016-2017 season, the new deal is a slight annual increase from $1.1 billion to $1.12 billion per season. In May, La Liga reached an 8-year broadcasting deal with ESPN, while in July, Orange, a French telecom company, renewed its sub-licensing agreement with Telefonica for rights to La Liga and UEFA club competitions in a $356 million deal. This month, La Liga also ratified its agreement with CVC Capital Partners, in which the equity firm would spend $2.3 billion for an 8.2% stake in a new company that would oversee the league's media rights. Real Madrid, Barcelona and Athletic Bilbao, who all opted out of the deal, will not receive any cash from CVC, but they retain their full allocation of central media rights income broadcasters partners. And still talking sports business, Nike is reportedly conducting a full review of its media accounts, inviting a host of major ads and media agencies to compete for their portion of around $1 billion. The process, which Nike hasn't conducted at this scale in more than 10 years, is only just the beginning and is expected to run until spring. Nike uses a variety of agencies across different global markets, each of which will have to justify its role as a partner of the swoosh. Jordan's brand's media is also up for review, but Converse's is not. Requests for proposals are expected to begin next year. Nike's ads and promotional expenses reached $3.1 billion in fiscal 2021 year, down 13% year over year due to the pandemic-related cutbacks. Of that sum, $245 million was spent on media, according to research firm Convergence, primarily in the Asia-Pacific region, which was about $120 million, and in North America, which was about $95 million. Nike is looking more towards digital environments to build its brand, having announced on Monday its acquisition of NFT fashion collectibles maker RTFKT. And that's it on Sports Business. I'm Samson Oloide.
Thank you for joining us on Business News Now. I am Perpetua Fasomipita. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.